Well, let's get started here. It's a pleasure to chat with you guys. We're looking forward to the topic today. My name is Blake. I'm a senior customer success manager with Concord, and here with me is Alice. Alice, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yes, happy to meet you, Blake, on this webinar on reporting in Concord. I'm Alice. For anyone who doesn't know me yet, I'm working in marketing at Concord. And if you've seen our emails, I'm the one writing them. And also, you'll hear a bit of an accent. English is not my first language. I'm actually French, but really happy to meet you all.
We appreciate your help, Alice. Thanks for jumping in. So normally these webinars were joined also by a member of our sales team. So if you are a future customer and you are learning about Concord and you're typically talking with Zach or Quincy, they're actually at a conference today. They're in Vegas doing conference things, and so you have people to reach out to. So if you have questions about these topics here, you have Zach and Quincy to continue reaching out to, but also don't hesitate to reach out to us as well, right? We just want to make sure your questions get answered. And so whatever you need, just reach out to us. We're happy to help. I love that we already have some people going in the chat, which is where I want to go to next. If you've been on these webinars before, you know that they are meant to be collaborative. They're meant to be, have a community feel, right? They are meant to have, you know, topics that can cover a wide, span, but also sometimes the topics are short. And so the reason I'm saying all this is because I would love it if we had everybody that, wants to collaborate, wants to contribute, to go to the chat, ask your questions when you have them so that we can help you and answer them. So Alice will help field them, I will help answer them, and so on and so forth. So with that being said, if you don't mind, go to the chat. Tell me what kind of, are you a breakfast person? And if so, what do you typically eat? Tell me that. Recently, guys, not gonna lie, here, I'm gonna put, oops, yeah, I'm gonna go to the chat. I'm gonna say, Austin, no breakfast. I've been intermittent fasting. I don't even know if it works. I don't know if it's doing anything for my body, but I've been going no breakfast route. So let me know what y'all do. Really, again, it's a silly way to let y'all know that the chat is there, so that you guys can ask your questions because off topic or on topic, we want to hear your questions. We want to know what you have to say. All right, caffeine. That's what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Oh, no caffeine. Consistent. I was just on a Greek yogurt kick for a while, but I've gotten off of it. Guys, protein bagels, eggs and turkey bacon. Sounds like a winning breakfast of champions. All right. I'm gonna get started as I read your guys' breakfast entries. I don't know why I did this to myself because now I'm hungry and I told myself I'm not eating. But we're talking about reporting on Concord. This is available on, I'm probably going to say most of your guys' accounts, reporting just in general. There is a chance if you know that you are on a standard plan or an essentials plan, then you may not have our reporting functionality. By far, business, which is that middle, and pro, which is that legacy kind of middle plan. Um, those are by far our most common, and so I would say that you have our reporting, which is in my opinion one of the most valuable pieces of Concord, is to be able to, like, for a while, we were talking about extracting that key data, unlocking that data within your contracts. And so my goal today is to tell you, when I think reporting, I think of how do we, like, show you the peripheral information, right? Reporting, typically people think of like Excel or CSV files, which I will share. But also there's ways to get that, like, sort of light reporting within Concord. Um, I know I have talked with a lot of you on personal calls as a customer success manager. That's our job, is to reach out and to talk to you. If you have never chatted with a customer success manager, reach out to me. We'd love to get you in touch with the person that's, dedicated to serve you. Um, my point in saying this is that I will bring up topics that we've probably talked about before in our one-on-one calls and in these public calls. We're going to talk about properties because it's one of my favorite features of Concord to really help kickstart and add that value to your system. Okay, now it's time to jump in. So Before we actually get into sort of the like the actual like reporting itself, it's worth talking about like, okay, I have an Excel spreadsheet with a bunch of data. Where does that data come from? And what I just did here is I opened up a contract. I can see the body here on the left-hand side. And then what I did is I selected this document summary panel on the right. And so I've called this, I don't know, I don't even know if it makes sense, the heartbeat of your repository, right? This is where all of the important information is stored. If you're wanting to get good data out, this is where you put your good data in. If you're pulling a report or filtering documents, it all is housed right here. So before we even get into what reports can I pull, you guys need to make sure you're filling out this summary panel. It's going to be broken up. Let me just go ahead and collapse these actually, and we kind of break them down individually. We'll just go through it all. So it's broken up into these sections: essentials, lifecycle, properties, key terms, smart fields, and custom fields. I'm going to break down what I like to think about these. So essentials, that's actually pretty self-explanatory. These are preset fields. They're going to be on every single document. You cannot change them. They're the fact that they are on your documents. They're valuable if you use them. Also, a lot of them will be extracted with AI, which before I actually get further, I should talk about because in order to get that good data out, you are going to be manually putting in this information. So if you guys are on our legacy plans, right, the probably, the standard pro or just enterprise. Just a good way to know is if you come in here and you see a little banner, or if you press this refresh autofill data or like an AI button, it's not going to work for you. But if you're on one of those legacy accounts and you're seeing that, man, like this would be valuable to have, like to use for reporting, you're going to have to put in this information manually. AI will pull a lot of it for you. So it's going to extract for you the essentials. So agreement category, document type. My second favorite is our parties. It will pull a description of the document as well. Now, tags and links are a little bit different. Those are like really, really custom and unique to you. If you don't have AI, you can put it in automatically, but agreement category and document type will be a dropdown. And parties will be like a preset list. I have a good question actually here in the chat that I'm going to approach now. I do see that other question that we saw previously, which is not on topic, which is great. We love the off topic questions, but I'll answer that at the end if we have time. But for this one, when AI pulls data incorrectly, if it is corrected, does it train a model? So at this current moment, no. So we don't use your data to train any models. We actually have a zero data retention policy with all of our for our AI providers. So, but we want to hear about it because we will take, if you're willing to provide us, hey, this is what the AI pulled, and this is what I expected and would want it to pull, we want to know that so that we can correct the models and things like that and change the prompting. So it's a very great question. I wanted to touch on that really quickly. Yeah, absolutely. So there's the essentials category, right? A lot of it is pulled with AI, but some of it isn't. My most important thing, in my opinion, is going to be life cycle details. In the summary panel, life cycle is going to be the most important. Talking specifically about reporting, there's two different places where we'll pull reports today. One is going to come from the deadlines tab, and one is going to come from either the inbox or the reporting tab. And so if you want to pull relevant information from your deadlines tab, or if you want to receive deadline reminders, fill out this life cycle details. So I would recommend you fill that out. Next are going to be properties. This is that feature that I talk about every chance I get to because this is what I said, like unlocks sort of a lot of that value that you're already paying for. Properties are on every single subscription, every single account, so you should be using them. But if you're up in this essentials category and you're like, man, I kind of like this drop down option, or this long text list is pretty cool, right? You have the ability to create your own short text, drop down lists, currency fields that all live here, that all have the same exact title across the same or across all of your documents. And so the way that they report in Concord is also consistent. So the way I kind of prompt this for people that haven't used properties before is I ask, like, have you ever wished that you could see things at a glance across all of your repository? Or have you ever wished you could um, filter out only the documents that have, payment terms of net 30, or have a specific clause that, really adds in a little bit of risk, but you need to have in your contracts, right? You can record that information here, and there's a lot of different reporting and filtering you can have on it. I might share with how you create your properties. It actually is done by admins from your homepage. But once you have them created, you can add those properties and I can come in here. Maybe I have a contract owner field because maybe like Alice actually uploaded the contracts, but I'm the one responsible for it. So she's going to come in and she's going to assign me as the contract owner, for example, right? You have those options as you see here. It's a drop down list for all of my users. Pretty cool. Okay. I know we're talking about reporting. We haven't actually gotten to the reports yet. So key terms, these are custom deadlines that, or at least what I like to call custom deadlines. We'll also pull total agreement value here automatically if you have AI. And then finally, smart fields and custom fields. We won't spend a ton of time here. Smart fields actually will report, but these are the fields that are in your document if you execute with Concord. If you add a smart field in the body, it will come over here and it will actually report in your Excel spreadsheets. It's pretty cool. And then custom fields, I call this just like a notepad. This is a place where you can just put some scratch notes because it's not going to report very well. But if you just want to have some data on here for someone to open up, scroll down and see, this is a good place to do it. So I did bury the lead with one thing I just want to come back and cover. One thing I forgot to mention that is probably the most important is that lifecycle is also being pulled with AI. So if you're tired of putting in the signing date, the effective date, the end date, all of this sort of information, it will pull right here. One question real quick in the chat, why does under parties is sometimes insert an email address and sometimes the name of the company? It's a good question. So for example, this one has both. You can see Dunder Mifflin here and you can see Acme. So I guess it's not an exact example here, but the reason for this is AI is going to read it and it's going to put the parties of the companies that are signing your documents. And so some people, when they sign a document, they might have a personal free account and they haven't changed their company name, and their company name is their email address. And so when they sign a document and they don't have a company field, Concord will say, okay, my profile is Blake, but my company name is blake.youngdahl@gmail.com or something along those lines. And so it's going to autofill with whatever that person's profile is. So the recommendation there is to add a company field, but you can also modify it. And the reason it might say a company is because it'll probably extract it from your contract. That's a guess. We can look at it if you want to, and move on there. All right, I have another question here. Is it possible to mass upload information on properties to older contracts instead of filling in one by one? Absolutely. This is totally possible. Let me come back to my inbox because we're going to also be here when we start to move and transition into like reporting. And so for this one, if you want to mass upload sort of your properties, you can come in here and you can select all the boxes for all of the documents that you want to update, and you can hit the actions button, and then you can hit add a property. So this is where you can add properties in bulk. I hope I'm answering your question there, but this is where you can add those properties, either blank properties if you just want to add the selected user property and you don't want to fill it out yet, or you can go ahead and actually apply it. It's pretty great. All right, I see a question in there where I'm going to get to some other things real quick before I get to them. So I am going to pause on the questions just for now because I want to jump into reporting. I haven't even talked about it yet. So before I do though. Okay, I needed that. All right, so what I first want to get to is like light reporting. And I don't know if that's a technical term. It definitely is not a technical term. But what I mean by that is like when I think of reporting, I think of like dashboards. I think of Excel spreadsheets. I think of stuff that I can take and give to someone else, like an executive or a team maybe that needs to see them and do actions from them. What I mean by light reporting is that when you log in every single day, you have this inbox, which is a collection of all of the documents that you have access to. This view right here is, you can modify it. And so you can see information at a glance that I think is worth talking about. And actually, it's the reason why we give you this giant list. I'm sure there are some of you that are like, man, this list is giant. Also, man, I wish that I could, this NDA company name, I wish I could move it to the finance team and it would move out of this list. Notice that when I move it, it stays here. It's just now in the finance folder. This is intentional. Now, there are ways you can clean it out a little aside. If you want to archive it, you can do that. But the reason why we design it this way is so that you can leverage that important data across all of your contracts. And so real quick, if you go to all documents, it's generally the recommendation because these will have documents that we have indirect and direct access to. But what's really great about all of those things that are on that summary panel is that you can, one, add them as columns into this view. And this view is personal to you. So if I want to see that standard property for agreement category, I can do that. If I want to see the contract owner field, I can do that and I can add columns for it, right? And I can move around these columns and do all sorts of things. So that's what I mean by like light reporting is that if I want to see just real quick, right when I log in, see some important metadata on my contracts, you can do that. One other step forward with advanced, sort of some more like advanced or light reporting, getting into some more advanced reporting, quick, is that we also have allow you the ability to filter across all of these data points. So also, it doesn't matter in all documents or my documents. Technically, I do all documents because you're going to guarantee that you see everything that you have access to. You can hit this filters button, and just about every single thing that's in that summary panel is also filterable here. So for example, I talked about payment terms earlier. If I ever wished I could see documents with payment terms that are net 30. I hope I have some on there. I do. Good news. I can see that information, right? So I can start to do things, especially like this thing right here. If you have AI, it's going to extract. And so this is something that you can do as soon as you have AI on your system. So I can come in here and I can see all of my documents that end within the next 30 days that have a total agreement value that is greater than $10,000, right? I can do this sort of thing if I manually put in the information or if you know, if I have it extracted with AI. So that's sort of that light reporting. Let's jump into some advanced reporting, right? Let's talk about some advanced reporting because let's say this is something that I want to have all the time. I want to always have, in date in the next 30 days, over $10,000 is something that my CFO requests all the time. And she wants it, weekly or something along those lines. We have the ability for you to save this as a report and extract it as a CSV file. So real quick, if you just want to kind of touch and go, you can hit this actions button from here at any point and export a list. It will allow me to receive it'll tell me the number of documents and it'll tell me the data. Typically, if you guys are used to doing this and you're like, man, Blake, I'm used to pulling reports and seeing all of this information, we added the ability for you to see an advanced and a simple export. The advanced is going to be all of the data you could ever want in that summary panel. So I'm going to go ahead and export this to kind of show you what it looks like here. But I hit hitting that export list. And so this is a really quick way to get a report that I was talking about earlier. Before I actually pull it open and show you what it looks like, I do also want to kind of go back to where I was saying like every week my CFO expects this. And so I need to save it because I'm tired of adding a filter, adding a second filter, and so on. So if you ever want to, you can save it as a report. This will go to CFO report. A little description for me. A quick note about reporting. It is currently a personal function. So the reports that I create, Alice won't be able to see, and vice versa. Or to create the report that I created won't currently be able to be seen by my CFO, but I can export it and send it to her. So currently, this export button will do the exact same thing that I already that I already extracted. And so let me go ahead and import it now to kind of show you what that Excel spreadsheet looks like. I think it's worth jumping into the actual report. Currently, you cannot set a report to deliver on a cadence, but with our AI functionality, with something exciting that we have on the horizon, we have some really fun functionality coming with custom reporting and with the ability to sort of have some review reports. I will get to some deadline reporting that you can actually schedule to deliver on a cadence, but we'll get there in a second. So this is what you get when you export a report from Concord. Again, I did it in an Excel file. I'm going to be straight up with you guys right in the beginning. It's a lot of data. As you see, as I scroll over here, each one of these columns is a different data point. You probably didn't even realize that there was so much information on your summary panel, but there was. So real quick right off the bat, there's no way to within Concord, besides going with a simple or advanced export, only see the columns or the information that you kind of have pre-selected. The good news is this is coming with AI. Like, and not only is it like, you don't even click the buttons, you just say, show me a report with this information in it. You just use your natural language as if you were talking to me, your intern, or something like that, right? So you'll have that ability. But let's kind of talk about how I would use this information. So first off, we break it down with general information, stuff that's just like the contract title, the link if you need it, maybe the UID or the unique, Concord identifier, as well as like who the document was with. We'll then go into all of your life cycle details. If you're really just extracting this report for life cycle details, I'm going to want you to consider going somewhere else for this, but we at least tell you everything, right? And we'll get really detailed, like what the duration is, right? What the expiration date is, all of this sort of this information, like termination notice, deadlines, right? Things like that. We give you all of this information. It's a lot. But what I think is really the most valuable piece here, because we're going back to properties, is we will list all of these properties in separate columns. If you've been with us for a while, you've probably wondered, I'm using tags. Why would I consider properties? And this is one of the main reasons why. I think one of the other reasons why is because you can, create those currency fields, the short text fields, and all of these sorts of different types of fields and categorizations. But the real value of this is that a property will report in its own singular column for you, so that I don't have just one column for properties and I have to put in my annual value, my department responsible, and my contract owner, and all of this sort of things. Whereas if I come back and I find tags, you'll see here I have the contract tag, the core tag, or core business, HR, human resources, right? It all just reports in one cell. And so we wanted to make that improvement for you. So if that has ever been a pain point for you, or if you use custom fields for the same thing, or even key terms, right? That is a reason to consider properties. That is a reason to use properties. All right, sweet. So keep going in the chat. I know we do still have some questions, other ones about like AI automations and recurring life cycles and things like that. We're going to get to it, but I want to jump into deadlines. Alice, am I missing anything that you think I should answer now before I move on?
I think it was all. I think it's all. We've got like a few questions we haven't answered in the chat so far.
Okay.
Um, so maybe we can tackle those if you want.
Sure. Yeah, let's go ahead and do them because this is a good segue.
Yeah. We had a question earlier. Maybe the most recent one. Can you set a report to deliver on a cadence? I don't know if you've answered that one yet.
Okay, yeah, I did answer that one. Currently with reporting, you can't like this actual what I am in is went to this reporting tab and I'm in this reports section. This is something that you can't currently. We want to do that. But what I'm going to get ready to, a little teaser, is a deadlines tab, which you basically can. Yeah, so that's a really good segue. What's next?
Will everyone be able to have the AI automation, or will we have to upgrade our plan to have access?
Ah, great. I'm glad
Yeah.
you brought this up. So everyone will have to upgrade in order to get it. So if you're curious, we want everyone to have it. And so we're trying to, price it really responsibly. But if you are on a legacy subscription, meaning you've been with us for, longer than a year or so, you probably don't have it. So reach out to us. Um, we'll put our information in the chat here in the end or so on. But yeah, chat with us. We'll make it worth it for you.
Yes, of course. We can reach out directly. Also, other question we got, can you walk us through how to set up a recurring 90-day contract review cycle?
Yeah, actually, I can definitely do that. Why don't I jump into this now? Because what I'm getting
Yeah.
ready to talk about is reporting with the deadlines tab. And so actually, yeah, I'll do it. So basically what I'm going to do is from this deadlines tab, it's a calendar view, calendar button right here. Right when you click it, you're taken to a calendar view. You can also hit this little bulleted list over here and see this list view. So I'm going to go ahead and export this as an Excel spreadsheet so I can show you what this looks like. But if you are, as I said earlier, focused on like deadlines and dates, exporting this is probably going to be better for you. But let's talk about this recurring deadline that someone asked about, like, because currently we have renewals, which are recurring deadlines and things that are like standard on contracts. But if you want to post or record and get reminded about recurring deadlines, you can utilize, if I open a contract, this key terms section. This is what I call custom deadlines, where I can add a custom term and I can type in deadline title, like contract review, for example, and add a duration or frequency. Once I add a duration or frequency, I can make it a recurring event, and I can say every 90 days I have a deadline that happens, and so this will populate on my deadline reminder list. So that's a quick, very fast way to set up those, but it will start to populate in this deadline reminder. And then if you want to, you can come in and you can export that export. You can export that report right there, and this is what it shows. So if you are curious kind of about what it looks like, um, this report, right? Notice it's a little bit different. It's not so wide, it doesn't have so much information, but it has all of the important things for your deadlines. And I want to break it down really quickly. I know we're kind of running up on our time here, but it has the important information. So first, what it has is deadline date, right? This is not the date of the contract. Like when you uploaded it, this is literally just the contract and the deadline that it's listed here. So, right, this is not technically a row. Each row is not a contract. Each row is not a contract. Rather, each row is a deadline. The reason I make that distinction is because I can have, for example, like this one and this one, I can have two contracts that are technically duplicated here, but the deadline is different. So term expiring is a key term, and renewal is renewals. I guess we're looking at the termination notice deadline, right? But right, so each row is a separate deadline. So this is when that deadline is coming up, and this is the deadline type. I hope that makes sense. Check it out if you want to. I know I kind of tease the ability to send these deadline reminders out regularly. And so the last thing that I'll say is if you're familiar with Concord, you've had deadlines on your contracts, you will receive a weekly email from us giving you a short report on the upcoming deadlines. That is something that you can share and schedule with people, especially if you're an admin. And it's going to be based on these deadline views or this deadline page here. So from here, I don't really have time to do this page justice, but maybe this is a great idea for a follow-up topic, so stay tuned. But you can create some really great deadline views here where you can automate from this admin function, advanced notifications. I can have all of my saved deadline views and I can say, this report here that I've saved in my deadlines view, endings and renewals in the next 90 days, it is extremely important. And I want to send a report to to these three folks every 5 days. So Henry, Elizabeth, and Benjamin will get that report sent to them every 5 days. So it's really valuable. Man, I crushed through that. I know that was really fast. Again, this is not meant to be the only time that we talk to you. So I see that one last question that I skipped in the very beginning, and we are going to come back to it here. But I just want to say, reach out to us. This is not meant to be the only time that we chat with you guys. While I'm answering this question, I'll put our contact information up here. But that question is, can you please show how to group several documents? For example, time frame added with frame contract with 3 to 4 POs. So yes, so here's a good point here. I think maybe in your original question, make them for one entry. So this is tough here. So we don't have necessarily envelopes for you to say like, hey, I have 5 different contracts that I need to get executed at one time. We do have the ability to link contracts. And so that's what I'm going to show you real quick is that if all of these contracts are within your Concord, so the frame contract and 3 to 4 purchase orders, you have the ability to link them up in the summary panel. There's the eye with a little circle around it, and you hit that add link button. Here's where you can search for all of the documents in your Concord account so you can find those purchase orders and you can choose the relationship. For example, falls under the framework contract of if I'm in that 3 to 4 purchase orders, or if I'm in that frame contract, I can choose this is the framework contract of, and then I can find those purchase orders. So this is a way to link it. If you were looking for ways to kind of send them out in a convenient package, reach out to us and we can help you personally. All right, guys. I was about to say I've never talked so much in my life, but I know that that's a lie. Um, I appreciate you guys listening for so long. Thanks for jumping into the chat. We are right at our time, and so we are going to go ahead and end it. But reach out to us. Here's actually all of our emails right here, and I'll put in mine so you don't have to type it in. I'll put that in. Okay, great. Yeah. Yeah. If there's some of this information, if you're like, hey, reach out to me, I want to learn more, put that in the chat or just reach out to us. And again, if you are a future customer with us, we put Zach and Quincy's email on there. If you don't want to type it in, just click my email, tell me who you are, and we'll put you we'll put you in the right place. Awesome, guys. Well, we so appreciate you
Wonderful.
guys coming. Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Have a great day, everyone.